In the tranquil suburb of Willow Creek, where life seemed picture perfect, I once believed that my world with Emily was unshakable. We had been married for over a decade, blessed with 2 wonderful children, and lived in a charming house that many admired. From the outside, our lives appeared seamless and idyllic. However, beneath the surface, a quiet discontent began to stir within me. There are moments when you sense an unsettling shift, an inexplicable void that gnaws at your peace. That's exactly how I had been feeling in recent months. Emily's demeanor began to change subtly but perceptibly. Her laughter, once so genuine and frequent, now felt distant. She started staying late at work more often than before, citing endless meetings and new responsibilities. Yet, even when she was home, it felt as though her mind lingered elsewhere, trapped in those very meetings she claimed to attend. Her eyes, once filled with warmth and affection, seemed glazed over, lost in a realm far from our family. She grew more attached to her phone, chuckling softly at messages she refused to share. Whenever I inquired, her dismissive responses only fueled my doubts. "It's nothing, just a funny meme," she would say with an insincere smile. My initial unease gradually morphed into suspicion, casting a shadow over our once harmonious life. The emotional distance between us widened, and I felt an unbearable emptiness settling in. I yearned for clarity, for the truth hidden behind Emily's evasiveness. One fateful evening, unable to endure the uncertainty any longer, I made a painful decision. I checked her phone. The very act felt like a betrayal of our trust, but my need for answers outweighed my guilt. My heart pounded violently as I unlocked her phone, dreading what I might find. What I discovered shattered me to my core. There were countless messages exchanged with a man named Mark. Who was he? How had he infiltrated our lives so effortlessly? The texts were filled with flirtatious banter and explicit content that left no room for doubt. They had been meeting secretly for months. One message, in particular, seared itself into my memory. "I can't wait to see you this weekend." My world crumbled in that instant, and an abyss of betrayal engulfed me. The pain of discovering that my wife had been unfaithful was overwhelming. But what twisted the knife further was knowing the betrayal came from someone close enough to be called a friend. As despair gnawed at me, a darker emotion began to surface, a relentless thirst for revenge. Confronting Emily provided no solace. Her apologies felt hollow, and her tears did nothing to heal the gaping wound in my heart. I wanted her and Mark to experience the same agony and humiliation that I was enduring. Consumed by my anguish, I began to meticulously track Emily's movements. I monitored her texts, followed her to places she thought were secret, and even discovered Mark's address. My rage simmered, fueling my resolve to exact retribution. The plan formed slowly but clearly in my mind. One evening, I fabricated a business trip, telling Emily I would be away until Sunday evening. The relief that flickered across her face was unmistakable and gut-wrenching. "When will you be back?" she asked, feigning concern. "Sunday evening," I replied coldly, turning away to hide my own turmoil. Instead of heading to the airport, I parked a few blocks away from our house and waited. As night fell, I stealthily returned home and descended into the basement, a place Emily and Mark often used for their clandestine encounters. There, I installed a hidden camera, ensuring it captured every corner of the room. My anger demanded patience, and I was willing to wait. Hours passed like an eternity, but finally, I heard the front door creak open and soft laughter echo through the house. Emily and Mark were here. Their carefree giggles sliced through me like a dagger. I gripped the baseball bat in my hands tightly, my breath shallow and deliberate. As they descended into the basement, unaware of my presence, I waited until they were vulnerable. Emerging from the shadows, I confronted them. Emily's eyes widened in horror, her face drained of color. Mark, startled, attempted to rise, but I was faster. With all my strength, I swung the bat at his leg, a sickening crack filling the room. His scream mingled with Emily's frantic cries, but my focus remained on Mark. Through gritted teeth, I demanded answers. "How long? When did it start?" Each hesitant response fueled my fury, and each time he faltered, I swung the bat again, ensuring he felt the weight of my anguish. Emily's pleas for mercy fell on deaf ears. In that moment, my pain eclipsed everything else, driving me to seek the vengeance I believed I deserved. Jack stood over Emily, her tear-streaked face contorted in anguish. "Please, Jack," she begged, her voice cracking under the weight of her despair. "This was a mistake. It won't happen again. I swear it." But Jack's heart had hardened beyond repair. He looked down at her, his eyes devoid of the love they once held. On the floor, Mark lay motionless, blood pooling around him, each crimson drop fueling Jack's rage. "Do you think your pleas can undo what you've done?" Jack's voice was cold, almost a whisper, but it cut through the air like a blade. "I wanted you both to feel the torment that has consumed me since the moment I discovered your betrayal. Look at what you've turned me into, Emily. You said you'd ruin me, and you succeeded. But now, I'll show you the same mercy you showed me none." Emily raised her trembling hands, a futile shield against his wrath. Her eyes, wide with fear, shimmered with unshed tears. "Jack, please," she whispered, stepping back as panic seized her. "Let me explain. I never meant for this to happen. I love you, I swear it." Her words were laced with desperation, but Jack felt nothing. The pain she caused had scorched his soul, leaving behind only bitterness. "Love?" he sneered, the word dripping with sarcasm. "Is this your version of love, Emily? Lies, deceit, betrayal? Let me show you what love means to you." He pulled out his phone, the glow of the screen illuminating the room like a cruel spotlight. With a tap, he played the video he'd captured with a hidden camera, a damning reel of their infidelity. Emily gasped, her face draining of color as the reality of her actions unfolded before her. "You can't do this," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the pounding of her heart. "We have a child together. What will people say?" Jack's lips curled into a sinister smile. "I'm going to show this to everyone. Our family, our friends, your colleagues. The whole world will see you for who you truly are." Emily's sobs filled the room, her hands covering her face as if to hide from the inevitable judgment. But her tears only fueled Jack's resolve. "You thought of our child after your betrayal?" Jack's voice was sharp, slicing through her pleas. "If they mattered to you, you wouldn't have done this." Mark groaned from the floor, but Jack's gaze never wavered from Emily. He turned and walked away, the echo of his footsteps mingling with Emily's cries. As he left the basement, he felt a dark satisfaction settle in his chest. News of Emily and Mark's betrayal spread through Willow Creek like wildfire, turning them into the subject of every whispered conversation and judgmental glance. Jack, however, held his head high, a silent reminder to all that betrayal comes at a price. Yet, as he walked the quiet streets, a lingering heaviness clouded his thoughts. The woman he once loved had shattered his trust, leaving wounds that no passage of time could heal. But life would continue, and so would he. Each day, as he recalled the moment he uncovered her betrayal, Jack felt a grim satisfaction. Revenge had been served, but the scars remained. And though the chapter with Emily had closed, his story was far from over. This was not an end, but the beginning of a solitary journey, one where Jack vowed never to let his guard down again.